And so with that, thank you for coming again, and I'll hand it over to Rosa. If you could introduce yourself real quick, and then you can go straight into it. Thank you. Rosa, I think you need to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rosa. First, I'd like to apologize for the delay. I had a little bit of technical issues setting up the two computers today. I live in New Jersey, and I'm a mom of three, and I enjoy cooking. So I took on this challenge. I hope you guys enjoy the menu that we chose to do today. As you've seen on the registration, today we're doing the spicy pork kimbap, which is 제육김밥, and we will do some veggie kimbap with fresh vegetables. Just want to go over the materials that we need. So we will marinate the pork first while we prep the other ingredients. So we want to make sure we have the thinly sliced pork, pork of your choice. I chose the leaner cut, and I have all the marinades here that we need, like the soy sauce, mirin, oyster sauce, and salt and pepper. We have the steamed. This is specifically made for kimbap, so I'd like to use this one. It doesn't have to be this brand, but the ones that is specified for kimbap usually holds well together when you're rolling. We don't have too much rips, or like, you know, when it might pop. And then of course we need the gochujang and the gochugaru and some onion. And the rest of the vegetables we're going to use for the veggie kimbap. We have to make sure we have rice for the kimbap today, and I have some perilla leaves, shiitake mushrooms, some red cabbage, carrots, cucumbers, scallions, and this is pickled radish. If you're not familiar, it's like a staple in the kimbap. You can buy them pre-cut like this, which is convenient. They come like this already, or you can buy, you know, the bigger ones and just cut them up yourself. And then of course we need garlic, so we have some garlic. So let's marinate the pork first. We are going to take some mirin. This is to get rid of like the meaty or like a gamey meat flavor. So just add this in. Just open. So four teaspoons of this. And then we're going to put 2 tablespoons of garlic. I like to just chop this up really quick. You grab few cloves. Let me just this. Switch this around so you guys can see a little bit better. So I have this little flat end on my knife, so I like to just use that to slice up the garlic really quick, but you can also use the side of the knife like this. Cut it up. It doesn't have to be too fine. It just needs to be minced in small pieces.
Rosa, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When it comes to marinating, do you recommend marinating like 24 hours beforehand, or is it better to like marinate it immediately in the cook it?
Actually, it is, the longer you marinate, you're gonna get more intense flavors. So if you have time, if you do it the night before, it works best. But there are times when you have like unexpected guests, or you don't have enough time, or you just don't have the means to do it ahead of time. So in those cases, like today, I would just marinate it and prep other stuff. So I would do the marinating as the first step. So it works out. It doesn't have to be overnight, but I think the flavor-wise, the flavor will be a little bit more deeper tomorrow if you were to save this and to cook it tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I tossed in the garlic into the bowl and put the meat in here. And then we're gonna put some red pepper and basically just toss it around here a little bit. This is actually a lot of meat stuff for kimbap. You can probably not use all of this, but these freeze well also. You can freeze them, marinate it, or you can also cook it and then freeze it and then just reheat it for a quick meal. My kids like to just pop it out of the freezer, like after school or when they get hungry. Okay. So once that is coated and got the garlic in here, we're gonna just set this aside and we'll prep the other ingredients. So while we do that, we will work on the other vegetables, but I want to get the cooking out of the way. So we will cook the shiitake mushrooms, which is going to go into the veggie kimbap. This does not go into the spicy pork one, but we'll get this one quickly. So I got some fresh shiitake mushrooms here, and this kind of acts like, I guess, the meat part of the kimbap, but it's got a really good flavor and good texture. So I like to use this for the veggie kimbap. We will just remove the stems. This part. Cut the stems off. And then just slice these up. You don't have to make them too thin. I think a little bit thicker is easier to work with when we are rolling the kimbap later on. I found that if it's too thin, they actually kind of fall out too much. Okay, set this up. We're gonna quickly just saute this and set it aside. We'll do the other veggies. So on a medium-high heat, I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil. Wait for it to heat up a little bit.
Also, what other mushroom would you recommend if you don't use a shiitake mushroom?
If you don't use the shiitake mushroom, you can use like baby portobello. I mean, I'm sorry, not baby portobello, just portobello. I've tried it with that, and that also works well. I think any mushroom that has that seems a little meaty, I think
Right.
they work best.
Okay.
So over mediumly, we'll just saute these really quick. So all the other veggies that's going to go into the veggie kimbap, they are fresh. They're not cooked. So it's going to be very crunchy and like refreshing, I guess, when you take a bite into it. This is the only element that is cooked in that kimbap. So since the other veggies have no marinade, I used the mushrooms, and I marinated the mushroom a little bit more than I would usually. So I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Lower the heat. A little dry. And cook these a little bit. The soy sauce. Garlic. Maybe dice up some garlic beforehand, but you want to make sure the soy sauce is nicely distributed throughout the mushrooms. A little bit of garlic here for flavor. We'll just saute it until it gets a little bit tender and it's nicely coated. You can see it's turning on the golden brown. Keep that. Stove turned off. So we'll see that just a little bit. Smell some garlic. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can also use the powdered garlic. I tried using that also, and that works fine. Fresh is always better, but sometimes you don't have access to it, and you can use they sell frozen chopped garlic, or you can use garlic powder. That's usually in the pantry. So okay. So I have the mushrooms. Okay, I have my heat off. I'm going to move this off the heat so they don't overcook. And then we have a lot of dicing to do, but we're gonna make a marinade sauce. Okay. Let's off the heat for now. Change my knife really quick. And we'll do the marinade for the spicy pork. So we'll need a small mixing bowl. Okay. And then we will need all our sauces, the garlic here, soy sauce. So the recipe calls for onion, half an onion. And we need the onion, actually, we're gonna use half of it going to be in the marinade. And the other half, we can cut it up and use it when we are sauteing in the meat. But since we're making the kimbap, we're not gonna put it in the meat. You can save a portion of the onion and portion of the meat because you're definitely gonna have leftovers, and you can save that for like rice and spicy pork for another meal. You can always cut the recipe in half if this is too much. I have a big family, so I'm usually making like batch meals. So my recipe is a little bit on a scaled up, but we can always scale down if you choose to. Okay, so half the onion. We'll just use half today. We want to get all the peel off. And you can hand dice it, but what I like to do is I have a mini chopper. Something like this. This is a mini chopper I use to chop like onions and garlic when I'm making sauces. So I will try using this today. We are going to put all the ingredients in here and actually just whip up the sauce. So we can cut the onions to a smaller piece so they fit actually in here. So half the onion goes in here. We're going to put the soy sauce. There's 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then I have some oyster sauce. 2 tablespoons. Okay, and then we're going to add that to sugar. Two tablespoons. A little extra for me because we like it a little bit spicier. And then 4 tablespoons of the pepper flakes, cuchara. Okay. And then we will put a little bit more of the another 2 spoons of the fish sauce is actually optional. It adds a little bit of extra savoriness, so I like to use it. You can use like anchovy based one. I used it's called 참치. This is a tuna fish. One. And we need 1 tablespoon of sugar and some garlic, 2 tablespoons of garlic. I like to add maybe about 5 or 6 cloves. Throw it in here. Tablespoon. So all the ingredients for the marinade are in chopper. Just quickly cover this. Oh. Just run it. Just need to top it up so that the garlic is all chopped up and the onion is all chopped up.
Sorry, Rosa, it's really hard to hear you. Can you,
Oh yeah. Okay.
is it possible to switch it to the phone mic instead of the laptop one, or?
Let me try.
You might want to mute the laptop one first.
Is that better? Does that work better?
It should be good.
It's still too quiet, but it's ringing now.
Yeah, sorry, I just muted you. Maybe we should just go back to the laptop. I'm sorry about that.
Yes. Better?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So I was saying that it doesn't have to be so fine. We just need to chop it up enough so that the garlic and the onion is chopped up. So this is the sauce base. We're just gonna set this aside for later. We have a lot of chopping up to do today. I'll just clear up some stuff really quick. Okay. So now we will prep our vegetables. I have some cucumbers. We're going to cut these into strips. I tried cutting them in two different ways when I was making this for my family, and I tried making it into kind of like shred, like julienne, and I also tried making it cutting it into like strips, like the pickled radish. I think it works better as a strip when we roll it up later when we're rolling the kimbap. It tends to stay in place more than coming out of the side or the end of the kimbap. So you want to just cut this in half. I want to remove some of the cheese in the center because this makes it too liquidy and it'll make the kimbap too mushy. So just going to cut them in half and quarter them and cut the centers out. You can keep the peel on or off. That's your preference. I'd like to just keep it on. I think it gives an extra like crunchy layer. So we will just put them into strips like so. One. You don't want them too thick, but sometimes I just prep all the ingredients that I need to make the kimbap and like the night before, so I don't have to do all the prepping while making the actual kimbap on the day of. It also saves some time. And I found that the veggie kimbap is very versatile. You can use basically any vegetables you want. This is just a combination that my family and I like to eat. Kind of fresh and very like gives you like a healthy feeling, like a healthy food, healthy meal. And then we have some carrot. Quickly peel it too. This I will just do it in. I think if we cut the carrots into strips like cucumber, it's a little too tough. And these are all uncooked veggies, so we don't want them to be too tough and too hard to eat. You can use the mandolin if you have. Get the carrot strips, but I'm just going to quickly peel them and
So Rosa, like for some of us, we grew up a lot with eating kimbap at different kind of events, but can you kind of explain, why kimbap is, so important, and then like the different types of events that we usually find kimbap?
so kimbap is like very like it's on the go, easy to eat on the go. So in Korea, like one of the I guess biggest or the most here event is like a lot of moms make it for their kids when they go to they go on sophung. Sophung is like field trips in Korea from school that you go, and a lot of the moms pack these up, easy to carry, easy to eat. Nowadays it's becoming a lot of like staple food when you go to like like a Korean buffet, or if you go to like a Korean weddings, you can find kimbap or rolls a little bit more fancier. They make it a little bit fancier now. But yeah, this is also like one of the Korean, like I think like street foods too now, because I hear a lot of Korean people that go to work or go to school, they just grab and go. They pre-make it and they sell it so that it's easy. Korean people tend to eat more like I think rice-based stuff than like bread, like sandwiches, things like that. So it's one of the staple and popular foods in Korea. So here I have the carrots ready. I don't think I need all of it. I'll just save this for later. Then I have some cabbage. You can use regular cabbage. I use the purple cabbage for color. When you roll up the kimbap later, you'll see. Okay. I also tried putting some avocados in it, if you choose, and add some avocados also additionally to these choice of vegetables. I just decided to leave them out today, but that's also up to you.
Is there a limit to the amount of like ingredients that you might want to put in?
I'm sorry? Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Sorry. Is there like a limit to the number of ingredients you can put in?
Typically, I don't like to do more than like 5 or 6, only because it gets too difficult to roll up. And the more ingredients you add, I think when you are when we assemble it later together, the more you have to put less of each. Otherwise, it will be impossible to roll up. That way, you won't be able to really taste the ingredients that you've chosen. Just too many choices. So typically, when I make kimbap, I usually try to stick to maybe like 5. I think 6 at most. So we got all the fresh veggies cut up. I bought, like I said, I bought the ready-made radish for the kimbap. This is the kimbap radish that they sell at the market, all cut up, so saves up some time. I have some rice here, and we have to season the rice, and for that we use our sesame oil and salt. Because all the other ingredients don't have seasoning in it except for the mushroom, we will put some seasoning in here. I will add some, depending on how much rice you use, you will need to add the sesame oil, but for amount of, this is maybe, I think, 3 cups of rice in here. So I'm just gonna use about 3 or 4 tablespoons of the sesame oil. A little bit of salt to taste. And then we're going to give a good mix. So typically when you're making rice for kimbap, I like to use rice that's well, white rice most of the time. You can also use brown rice if you are not a big white rice fan. But you want to make sure the rice is not too not made with not too much water. Sometimes it gets too you say zero, which is like too sticky, and it makes it difficult to spread it out on the seaweed paper later. You'll see, and hard to roll it up. Make sure the sesame oil and the salt mixed up. Use a little bit bigger bowl, but this. So the rice is seasoned. Before we roll up any kimbap, I think we can cook the pork. I can cook it in the same pan that we use for the mushroom. I just wipe it down. I'm gonna heat up the pan. So typically, a lot of the recipes, they call for the pork, like marinated pork, like 제육, especially it's actually marinated like with the red sauce, like it's marinated. You see how I did it separately, sauce separately, and the meat is here. I like to just do like a clear marinade on the meat first, and then I cook it like about 75% of the way, and then I add the sauce, and then I cook the rest of it. I do that because I find if you use the type of recipe that calls for marinade that has gochujang marinade. Even I think like bulgogi or galbi marinades, they tend to burn really easily because of the sugar base. Got sugar in it. And it caramelizes really fast. So the meat is uncooked, but the sauce starts to like stick to the pan, and you can't really tell if the meat is cooked. Pork, especially, we like to cook it all the way through, unlike beef. So this method I use to cook it is I can see that the pork is cooked through, which makes it easier for me to tell like how much more I have to cook. So I'm not going to make all of this. I think this is a lot of meat. So let's see. We will cook this about 60 to 70%. You will see that it'll come brown, and the meat is cooked pretty through. So without the marinade, you can tell that the meat is cooking, and you can tell which part is not cooked. So
Do you
we'll
cook that? Sorry, do you cook that on high heat?
This is medium hot, yeah.
Thank you.
So if you were to eat this, not as kimbap, but if you want to eat it like with noodles or with rice or something like that, I would cook this and I would add like extra veggies like scallions and onions, like at the same time when I add the sauce, so they don't overcook. These are cooking. This on. Make sure you separate the meat if they're sticking to each other, so that the slices in between get cooked.
Once you make these kimbap, how long do they last? Like, can you keep them in the fridge or can you freeze them randomly cook it?
So kimbap don't store well in the fridge. You have to actually eat on the day of. If you do, I think the if you do keep it in the fridge, what I do is the next day, I dip them in like eggs. I just crack an egg and I just whip it up, and I dip the kimbap in the egg, and I pan fry them, and they become like a different type of kimbap, but they're very tasty. They don't really freeze. They don't freeze well actually at all. You shouldn't freeze kimbap. You can't eat it when it's soft. It's usually like food that you gotta eat on the day when you make it. So you can make all the ingredients ahead of time and roll it up like right before you're gonna eat it, or you can roll it up and take it on the go and eat it like a couple hours later. But I don't recommend you save them or like freeze or store them in the refrigerator. It'll make the rice really tough. Okay. So I'm going to start now. The meat is almost like this sauce actually, if you make it the day before, even a couple days before, it ferments really nicely in the fridge. So you can actually make the sauce, just the sauce ahead of time. Sometimes I make like a big batch and keep it in the fridge and use it for Okay. Make sure they're coated really well, and then the meat is already almost all cooked, so you don't have to cook it like too much longer. Now it's garlicky and spicy. You just want to cook it until it thickens just a little bit. The fluff will thicken a little bit. Um, the meat will be coated. You don't want to overcook the meat and add the sauce, or the sauce will not seep into the meat or cook the meat very well. It'll kind of not stick on. So we don't want that.
I noticed with the cucumber that you know, didn't want the seed part because it would make it too wet, but would the spicy pork make the kimbap too wet?
Actually, we're going to not use all the sauce. We're gonna try to use just the meat pieces. So you want to, when we're making this kimbap later, when we're rolling it, you'll see there's a lot of sauce like that's left on the pan. I can see a lot of sauces on the side. We're gonna try to not put those in. We only put the meat pieces in. So which is another reason why you want to eat it like right away, because if you're using like ingredients that have a little bit more moisture content, like like cucumbers or like meat with marinade on it, then it'll make it soggy, or it'll just unravel. And we don't want that. So I think this is ready. I'm gonna set this aside, cool it off a little bit because it's too hot to handle to make the kimbap right away after it's cooked. So the meat is cooked. Let it cool for a little bit. So while that cools off, we will start making the veggie kimbap. We'll roll up the veggie kimbap first. So this is I know this is not like a staple, or it's not like not everybody has this. I just happen to have it. It's a bamboo kimbap rolling device that actually aids into rolling up the kimbap. It gives sort of like a even pressure when we're rolling it up. You don't necessarily need it. If you have it, it's actually helpful. Since I have it, I will use it. This is like an old one. I've had this for like years and years and years. I think it's actually like hand me down from my mother. But it's like unwrapped. They also come in like silicone and like plastic ones now, which I have ones like this. This is probably a little bit more like sanitary, easier to clean and stuff. But I tried using it, but it's so stiff. Like you can see, this is very flexible, but this is like really stiff. So I tried making kimbap with this, and I wasn't really successful. Maybe because I'm used to this more. You can purchase it at like any Asian market, like Smart has them. Even these too. I think you can find these at Smart too. But we will just use the old ones that I'm used to. So here's the thing that I chose. Okay, so I have the kim ready, the seaweed. Then we have the rice ready here. We seasoned earlier. I'm just gonna grab my plastic glove, which helps rice from sticking so much. You don't have to have it, but it's just like for convenience. So we can try rolling this one. We will grab the get a mushroom. Okay. So if you look at the TV paper when you buy it, there's like a rough size and there's like a shiny side. I don't know if you could tell on the video, but usually if you buy kimbap games, the kimbap specialty games, the TV papers, they have two different sides. Usually I like to use the shinier side as outside, like outside. So I'll use the rougher as facing up. I want to spread out a little bit of rice. Try to spread it out evenly and thinly. I like to try to fit more of the ingredients that we have rather than rice. You want to make sure you have rice at the tip here. That's what's going to help seal it so it doesn't fall apart. Okay, so now we take the ingredients little by little and then we will put it in the center. I will start with the cucumbers. They can overlap, it's fine. Put the sauteed mushrooms in here. And one of the radish. You want to stay away from putting the ingredients on the edges, like here and here, and try to focus on putting it in like towards the center. So when you're rolling it later, it's not too hard and it doesn't like fall on top of each other. Carrots. The red cabbage. And when you're rolling this up, it's inevitable. Whatever ingredients you use, when we start rolling it up, it'll start to fall out from the side, but don't let that intimidate you or think that you're doing it wrong. It happens. Okay. Going to press it down firmly so there's not too much gaps in between the rice and the ingredients that we have. So you can see a little bit of the ingredients are squeezing out. You can just push it back in a little bit. Some will fall out. That's fine. Then I like to roll it back up in here and give it another hard squeeze. If we have popping out, we can just reuse these. So. Okay. So this one is done. We'll do another one and then we'll try cutting it. Then we'll do the meat one. So here's the shiny end. This is a little bit rougher end. I'm gonna put this rough side facing up. Spread the rice. So this one is already like the kimbap kim that I bought is already like roasted. So it's a little bit like crunchier. You have to be a little bit careful so that you don't rip it while you're spreading out the rice. Okay. You don't have to cover like every single spot, but we want to make sure that it's pretty much evenly distributed. Make sure the edge, we have to make sure the peeling edges are covered. The rice, that looks pretty good. Take the cucumbers. And the order doesn't matter right now. It's just up to you. Carrot. You can try putting like sliced up bell peppers in here. Any veggies that you like eating fresh works. I know some of my friends, they also like to use like pickled veggies. If you use pickled veggies, you don't really need to put the pickled radish there. You can substitute it for that. What did I forget? Mushrooms in. Okay. So I try to avoid this part and this part. Pull it off. Squeeze it down and pull. Squeeze. I will roll it up one more time and firmly press it to make sure that they're holding together. Okay. So this is the second one. We can cut it up and see before. So best to use actually serrated knife. Something like this. So it's easier. So I like to cut it from the center out so we have even pieces. But let's see the inside like this. I really like the green, I like the colors. I like to use the purple cabbage. You can brush these lightly with sesame oil. That also makes it shiny and gives a little nutty and tasty flavor. They say this is the best part, the end part. You know why? It's got all the extra goodies in there. So, this is usually reserved for the moms when they're rolling and cutting. The moms usually eat the end pieces.
Are there any other foods that go well with kimbap or drinks or anything like that?
I'm not sure really about the drinks. It's not really food that's eaten while you're drinking like alcoholic beverages, but food wise, usually something spicy like tteokbokki. People eat it with tteokbokki a lot. when you're looking for soup, they like to make odengang, like odenkuk, which is like fish cake soup. That pairs really well. This is our veggie. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's very colorful. I think it's a very good like spring and summer dish you can make like on a hot day. Let's try the spicy pork now. See how that goes. Grab some. So I have the spicy pork here. Okay. Let me grab. So for the spicy pork kimbap, I like to use the perilla leaf chicken meat. It goes really well with like a spicy pork meat. You can use cilantro if you like cilantro. So here's the other. Oh, this is a tiny one. The rest are really in. They will spread the. So there are so many different like varieties of kimbap, and I recently found out that like depending on which area you live, like in Korea, like southern, northern, or like eastern, western, they all have their like specialties and like down like people who live like on the coastal areas. I heard they also make it with fish. They put fish in it, like mackerels. And there's also, this is spicy pork, but I don't know if everyone's familiar with samgyeopsal, but they also make like samgyeopsal kimbap, which is really good. Okay, so we have the rice ready. I'm gonna take we cut it for this down first. And then we take the marinated gogi, put it on top of that. It's too big, you can just cut it up a little bit. You could add extra spicy like peppers in here if you'd like. Same thing. Roll it up one more time and give it a little press. Make one more and then we can cut it. This is like a really hands-on menu. So sometimes if you have kids at home and if they're picky, I usually leave out the ingredients. I leave out the seaweed, I leave out the veggies and the meat or any kind of filling that I choose to use, and I make them choose what they want to put in. So that way they get to pick what they want to eat. It's a little bit less work for you also when you are serving it that way. So you can see it's not too liquidy, the meat. If it is, when you are like I said, if you're using maybe like a fattier cut of meat, you might get a little bit more liquid or like oil, might get oily. So when you are sauteing it, make sure you drain it a little bit. Kind of like when you drain, like, you know, when you are cooking the ground beef before you make food using ground beef, you can drain it. Okay. So we got our churros popping out of it. Another plate. You want to make sure you have a good knife to cut. Otherwise, while you cut it, it will fall apart. So serrated knife always works best. You can see the inside like this. The sauce does seep into the rice a little bit, but that's fine. You want to serve or eat this pretty much right away. Edge. So since these are a little bit spicier, I think if you have time and if you can make some sort of soup like miso soup, or you can make the fish cake soup, it will make a good meal. Okay, and that's it. So we have the veggie kimbap, and we also have the spicy pork kimbap. How did you guys do? Did anybody follow along today, or we were just watching along? Any questions? Any questions about how to make these? Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosa. I know it's we got a little late into the night. We had some technical difficulties earlier, but thank you so much. I mean, definitely, I think, you know, this is a great recipe for everyone to kind of really practice, and especially with their family, that they can really, you know, get their hands dirty, you know, really modify it in the way that we want. But obviously, these are two classic recipes that, you know, you've shown us today. If anyone doesn't have any other questions, does anyone have any questions? There are some thank you messages in the chat. So let me just stop the recording right here.